and welcome back to the Beer Battered Sports Podcast, the podcast created by sports fans for sports fans because we believe we are the most qualified people to talk about our favorite teams. I'm your co-host, Isaac.
And I'm Noam, your other co-host.
Yes, and welcome back to episode 116. And if you read the title, you probably know what's coming. If you're a fan of the Minnesota Vikings, this episode is not for you, you losers. No, I feel bad for you guys.
Okay. Vikings fans catch a stray all right off the bat.
Hey, man.
I'd settle in, guys. It's gonna be
if you're a Vikings fan, either strap yourselves in. This is because this episode is dedicated to you guys and your misery. But we'll get to that in a bit because we do have some things to talk about before. But anyway, welcome to a jam-packed episode. Today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at the final medal table from the Paris Olympics, taking a look at some of the more bizarre countries that got medals. We're taking a quick drive over to the MLB, where last night Aaron Judge made history. We're going to talk NFL preseason week 1, some shocking injury news concerning that team in purple from the north. We're going to do a fun little thing that the Vikings fans will definitely burn us down for. And then we'll be making our game picks for week 2 of the preseason, which is starting tonight with the Patriots and the Eagles. Ew, who asked for that? Anyway, with that being said, I'm going to bring back something pretty fun that we've done in the past. To kick things off, we're going to start off with our usual segment, What's on Your Mind? And I'm going to bring back our goober of the week, and that goes to the Browns rookie who got arrested after 1 week of preseason.
Mike Hall thing.
I think so. 1 week of preseason, and bro got arrested.
Yeah, Mike Hall Jr. I saw a very funny tweet from an NFL analyst I follow who saw the news and immediately said Cleveland Browns are definitely signing him to a max contract. And if you've looked into the rumors or looked into like the news on what he was arrested for, it's pretty horrific. So that's on brand.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's one of those things that we don't talk about to try and keep this podcast, PG-13.
I wasn't going to go into it. But I was
just going to say that he's our goober of the week automatically. That being said, the Browns have dug this hole themselves because they're never beating the allegations of signing players with questionable backgrounds. Cough, cough, Deshaun Watson. That's all I'm going to say. Anyway, Noam, what's on your mind?
So previously last week, I said that I thought that the Commanders are probably the worst team in the league, I think.
You did.
I would like a retraction. All right. I think it is the Patriots after this last moving. They lost Barmore already, Christian Barmore, and now they are they traded Matt Judon to the Falcons, which is a pretty good move for the Falcons. Although
it was a great move.
You could argue it was a little bit of an overpay, but they needed someone, and he is someone.
And the Patriots, he's still really good. I mean, he's
still solid. He's still solid. He's not as good as he was on the Ravens, but he was kind of one of the. As we know, New England's been a mess last couple of years. Usually due to their offense, their defense been sporadic, right? Like the first year their defense he was there, I think they were awful, and they've kind of stepped it up as like an underrated defense in the meantime. They were actually playing pretty well under Belichick for a little bit. They just didn't have a lot of talent outside of him, but he was one of the people that they rallied around. Yeah, it's definitely a loss for them, and with no immediate replacement, I would like to place them at 32. I don't really see That's
about where I had them. I had them in Carolina down there.
I just had Washington beneath them.
Those teams played each other for the preseason week 1 opener. We'll talk about that when we get that, but that might have been the worst game of football I've ever watched for multiple reasons.
It was pretty bad.
Yeah. Before we get into football, let's quickly talk about some other sports. First, the final medal table from the Paris Olympics. Here we are. So the Olympics wrapped up. Great basketball games to wrap things up. I did want to briefly talk about breakdancing, which was made its debut at the Olympics this year and was swiftly removed from the Olympics. Did you see why, Noam? So if you didn't see this, Australia, for breakdancing, one of their 2 performers they sent was this 34-year-old woman named Ray Gunn. And if you haven't seen her performance, go look it up. I promise you it is worth it. But she got a full 0 and was so bad and completely derailed the entire competition. No one was paying attention to the other acts, which is a shame because they were really good. It was actually like really impressive. It's like, yeah, this can qualify as a sport as far as I cares. But her performance was so bad that breaking, as it's officially called, has officially been removed from the Olympics for the next summer.
Oh my God, I gotta see this. What the
Yes.
hell?
I'm going to read off the medal table. You look up Ray Gunn's performance and see why breakdancing won't be coming back to the Olympics. There's other reasons, by the way, that it's not the official reason that it got taken off. There's other reasons. But as far as the internet is concerned, it's because Ray Gunn was so bad. And you know what? I'm willing to believe the internet because that was horrible. But anyway, the final medal table is as follows. We are going off total number of, we'll do by totals. So, coming in 10th place with 13 gold, 9 silver, and 10 bronze, 32 total. Give it up for South Korea. Impressive. Good for them. In 9th place with 12 gold, 13 silver, and 8 bronze. Give it up for Germany. In 8th place with 15 gold, 7 silver, 12 bronze, and 34 total, it's the Netherlands. 7th place with 12 gold, 13 silver, and 15 bronze, 40 total medals is Italy. 6th place with 20 gold, 12 silver, 13 bronze, and 45 total is Japan. Here's your top 5. In 5th place with 18 gold, 19 silver, and 16 bronze, 53 total medals is Australia. With that being said, I would like all Australians, on behalf of myself, a proud American when the Olympics come on, to hold this L for all the trash talking they did in swimming because they didn't even. 5th place, buddy. 5th place.
And also, Ray Gunn is Australian.
That too. Are you watching it?
I am. I have a lot of questions.
This is great. I'm just listing off numbers. Meanwhile, oh God, look at the horror in his face. Look at the horror in his face.
I don't know how the sport works. I can't tell if this is good or bad, but it's not.
Look up some of the other performances. It's not. It's atrocious.
What is this? What am I even looking at?
The official explanation that she gave was that she wanted to try something different to catch
all the Olympics.
But this is the Olympics compared to the Olympic winning routines of like the medalists in breakdancing. That was just offensive. And some people were like, oh, well, it's like Eddie the Eagle or, Eric the Eel, which if you don't know, Eddie the Eagle, Eric the Eel, Eddie the Eagle, he was an amateur ski jumper who qualified for ski jumping at the Olympics in I think 1988 for Great Britain. And he was not at the level that he should have been at all. But and he finished last at all of his competitions. But everybody really was cheering him on because there's oh, this guy he's the common dude going out and doing that. The Olympics ended up introducing restrictions because of that, meaning that you had to win a national championship.
What am I watching?
Yeah. So Ray Gunn did win a national championship in Australian breakdancing to get into the Olympics. So it wasn't an Eddie the Eagle situation. A lot of people also compared it to Eric the Eel. I forgot his last name, but Eric the Eel was a swimmer from, I believe, either Equatorial Guinea, who at the 2000 Olympics won his qualifying heat by default because everyone else got disqualified for a jump start. This was a man who had not taken up swimming until a few months before the Olympics, had to practice in a hotel pool that was that was tiny. And this was his first time ever competing in an Olympic-sized swimming pool. His 100-meter swim, which is, one lap back and forth across the pool, which usually takes about a minute for the best swimmers, took him nearly 2 minutes. But everyone cheered him on because he won his heat by default. I don't think he got to compete in the
Holy shit.
What?
Sorry, I'm seeing some of the others. This is crazy cool.
Yeah, so you see the problem. So this wasn't.
Yeah, what the hell did I just watch?
So this wasn't an Eddie the Eagle of the situation because Ray Gunn has. There's footage out there of Ray Gunn actually doing a really good job of breakdancing, and it's
right,
not.
So it's not ability. It was an actively bad choice.
Yes, and unfortunately, the internet is doing what the internet does and going ham over this, which has led to people cyberbullying her. Which, come on, don't do that, guys.
We
can criticize her for a decision to do that, but don't cyberbully her. Come on, that's taking it too far. But anyway, back to the medal table. Coming in 4th place with 16 golds, 26 silver, and 22 bronze, 64 total medals is the host country of France. Shout out to France basketball. Not only did they play really well against the U.S. men's team, they almost beat the U.S. women's team. If They hit a buzzer beater that if their player had not had her foot on the line, it would have tied the game. Like they came one.
Wow.
They
yeah. No, that was a great game.
Yeah, it was.
I remember. Yeah, that was an awesome game.
It was. And it, of course, means the WNBA is back tonight, so we can get back to watching the Superior Basketball League. I'm gonna get strung up for saying that, but that's what I think. At number 3, going in third place with 14 gold, 22 silver, and 29 bronze, 65 total, is Great Britain. In second place with 40 gold, 27 silver, and 24 bronze, 91 total medals, is China. And winning the Olympics with 40 gold, 44 silver, and 42 bronze, 126 total, is the United States of America. That's what I'm talking about. We rule, baby. We rule. We rule. I wanted to give a quick shout out to a couple of countries who got their first ever gold, who won their first ever medals in general. Congratulations to Botswana, Dominica, Guatemala, and St. Lucia for winning their first ever gold medals. I believe all of them were in athletics. Congratulations to Albania, Cape Verde, Dominica, and St. Lucia for getting their first medals, period. And also congratulations to the Refugee Olympic team for winning its first medal ever, which I believe was in. Let me find out what that was in. They got a bronze medal in boxing in women's middleweight thanks to Cindy Ngamba, who is originally from Cameroon but plays for the refugee team due to ongoing political crisis in the country. So congratulations to the refugee Olympic team for getting its first ever medal. That's awesome. With that being said, let's quickly jump over to baseball real quick to talk about what happened last night. If you did not watch the finale of the White Sox Yankees series, first off, congratulations to the White Sox for beating the snot out of the Yankees in game 1 of the series. The White Sox, the worst team in baseball, beat the Yankees 12-2. The Yankees are the only team in Major League Baseball that has lost by 10 runs to the White Sox this year. I'm going to throw things. I am so mad. Noam, you are muted.
My bad. I was
saying
that was surprisingly gracious of you, and I was also saying that's probably going to stick. I don't think anyone else will lose the White Sox by that much. That's pretty crazy. How did they manage that? That's
I don't know. They played us really, really well. And one of my friends just texted me saying that they have to pee. Interesting. It is. It's not my roommate.
Yeah, I hope it's not. And why?
Well, I don't know. He's in the bathroom right now, so it might have been him. I don't know. Anyway, the big story out of that series, however, was that last night Aaron Judge became the fastest player to ever hit 300 home runs. Doing so in, let me pull up the stat real quick so I don't fudge the numbers. Aaron Judge news. His 300th home run. He is the fastest player to ever hit 300 home runs.
Wow. I mean, he's had a phenomenal career.
And a season. He has 43. He could very, very likely break his own record and smash it. 2 years ago, he set the record for most he set the American League record. He could smash that record this season. He's got 43.
Yeah.
We've still got 2 entire months to go in the season. Like it is absurd how good this man is.
Yeah, no, he's a special player. He makes baseball almost worth watching. Honestly, he is good.
Almost worth watching. Do I detect that the Braves fan is salty that they're still in second place?
We'll give it time. The season's not over yet.
All right. Well, with that being
I know. First place. I know, guys. I know that they're doing well, but season's not over yet.
With that being said, let's talk about NFL. Preseason week 1 was the usual schlock of the preseason. There were some good games. There were some really bad games. There were some surprising performances. And again, it's preseason football, so there's not much to say about it. But I did want to go over some of the highlights from the first week of preseason. So I'll go over some of the highlights. No, we can cut in. We'll start off with the worst game of the first week of preseason, without a doubt, was the Repus Bowl. The two worst teams in the league going up against one another. It was the Panthers and the Patriots. The Patriots won this game 17-3. I'd like to formally state that as someone who has done sports broadcasting before, the Patriots preseason broadcasting team is the worst I've ever heard. They did not give names as to who had the ball. They acted like they were a bunch of dudes watching their TV and eating chips, which, hey, I guess that's for some people, but for me personally, I wanted something a bit more professional. But yeah, no, nothing to see here. It was just this game was 7-0 until late in the fourth quarter when both teams finally started playing actual football. The one good thing I can see about the Patriots is that new quarterback Joe Milton does look very good. Well, he probably will get the backup jog. I don't know, though, because the Patriots kind of need a quarterback.
They do, and he does actually look pretty good. I'm just surprised because he was not the highest end prospect. I'm being very generous with that. He has a lot of doubters, so I will be very surprised if he does end up becoming very good, which fair enough.
Yeah. Drake May also made his debut as well for the Patriots. But yeah, the first game in the post-Belichick era was ugly for both teams. Not much to say at all. As we have our first comments. Play-by-play with JJ. What's going on, man? Anyway, moving on. We had
Ben DiNucci is a Buffalo Bill.
What's up?
Did you know Ben DiNucci is a Buffalo Bill?
Ben DiNucci is a Buffalo Bill.
Yeah, and Nathan Peterman's back on the Raiders. This is why I love preseason.
Oh yeah, no, dude. I was the best part of preseason is finding out where certain quarterbacks are. Like Nate Sudfeld is a Detroit Lion.
Oh, he is this year. Good for him. Let me see. Where's Josh Woodrum? Let me check down Josh Woodrum this year. Where's he at?
Kyle Allen is a Pittsburgh Steeler.
Interesting.
Yeah. What else was there? Josh Dobbs is a San Francisco 49er. CJ Beathard is somehow still in the league.
CJ Beathard? Yeah.
Yeah.
Josh Woodrum's a commander.
What?
Josh Woodrum is a commander at the moment.
Speaking of people in weird places, Drew Lock is a New York Giant.
Weird. Yeah, we're still waiting to see him come into his own, Isaac. Maybe one day.
He did not come into his own in their game against the Lions. They did win, though, 14-3, courtesy of new running back Eric Gray, who scored 2 rushing touchdowns, 48-yard run and a 1-yard run, both of them coming in the second quarter, in another game that was just rough to watch, man. Like, God, Jesus, this game was rough. Again, it's preseason, so nothing to take out of it. But the Giants do seem to have found a pretty good stud acute at running back if they want to pursue it. Eric Gray, keep an eye on him. He's going to be interesting. Some more highlights to go for. Michael Penix Jr. debuted for the Atlanta Falcons, threw for 104 yards and a loss to the Dolphins. Solid there. C.J. Stroud had a touchdown pass and a solid performance for the Texans as they beat the Steelers for their first win of the preseason in that game. And meanwhile, the Ravens suffered back-to-back losses in preseason play for the first time in like nearly 2 decades as Jake Elliott gave the Eagles a last-second game-winning field goal, which is unfortunate because I was hoping that winning streak would be started again for the Ravens.
I hope it'll be started this week.
Yeah.
We'll have to see in person.
In person? Wait, what's see in person? Wait a minute. What does that mean, though? You want to fill everyone in on what that means?
That's right, folks. It means Isaac and I are going to a preseason Ravens game to watch them go against the Falcons on Saturday at noon, which is very exciting. It's the first football game we're going to go to as a podcast, so it'll be pretty interesting. We'll be able to maybe drop some live reports in from from our Twitter. So make sure to follow us for
Yes,
updates quicker than the broadcast.
It is at BBS Sports on Twitter if you guys want to follow us to get live updates of that game. I'm super excited. This is going to be my first NFL game, unofficial first NFL game since it is preseason. Yeah, just want to put that in there. But I'm excited. I'm excited.
They'll bounce back.
I hope they do. I want the winning streak to get started again. It's frustrating that the winning streak got snapped and suddenly the Ravens aren't playing good preseason football. But anyway,
I'm okay with it. I don't care. I don't care as much.
Yeah, I was more surprised to see Kenny Pickett was a Philadelphia Eagle.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
interesting.
Some of the more highlights we got. Jaden Daniels looked impressive for the Commanders. Unfortunately, they fell to the Jets 20-17 in a close-fought contest on Sunday. Caleb Williams threw for 95 yards and accounted for 2 field goal drives as the Bears beat the brakes off of the Bills 33-6 in their preseason game.
Goes to show you the power of preseason right there.
Yeah. Caleb Williams did look good. I watched some highlights. This man he actually was looking pretty good. He was kind of looking like an early Mahomes out there, which I know a lot. That's been the big comparison. He actually did look like that. He actually did look like that. We're going to skip over the Vikings-Raiders game because there's a reason. We'll move to Packers-Browns. We're on the third play of the game. Jordan Love threw a 68 or 65-yard touchdown pass that basically was all the scoring the Packers needed to put away Cleveland. Good stuff there. Joe Burrow made his first start in a preseason game since I think his rookie season for the Bengals, throwing a touchdown pass that wasn't enough to put down the Buccaneers as Tampa Bay got the win 17-14. Logan Woodside, by the way, is a Cincinnati Bengal.
Interesting. That's another one.
Yeah. Will Levis led 2 touchdown drives for the Titans to beat the San Francisco 49ers. I'm not going to say much more on Will Levis because there's something. Will Levis, people on TikTok make interesting edits of Will Levis. I can't go into more detail about it because I'm trying to keep this thing PG-13, but all I'm going to say is this, folks, if you don't want something to leak on the internet, don't film it. That's all I'm going to say. Just don't do that. With that being said, Will Levis is impressive on the field.
Yeah, he actually is. I think he's okay.
He's not bad. He's really.
I've heard comparisons. Yeah, no, I don't think he's bad. I don't think he's great. I don't think he's even necessarily good. I've heard comparisons to mayonnaise.
So Kirk Cousins?
Kirk Cousins is not mayonnaise. I'm sorry. Kirk Cousins can play.
Kirk Cousins is Heinz ketchup.
No, because Kirk has a high ceiling and a low floor.
Okay, so he's French's mustard.
That's probably a little more accurate. Will Levis so far has shown a very low ceiling and a decently high floor for a young guy, so which is still pretty low. Like, we'll see.
He's had some moments that made me go like, okay, I mean, this guy. But then again, Tommy DeVito did last year too, and like we don't want to repeat that. Although Tommy DeVito was very impressive when he came in to replace Drew Lock for the Giants in their game. The Chiefs fell to the Jaguars, and unfortunately, they lost a big piece. Hollywood Brown dislocated a clavicle and will miss some time. He was one of several high-profile injuries in preseason week 1. What does this do to the Chiefs? Because they needed receiver talent. And there goes one of their receivers.
Yeah, I would. I don't understand why some people play in preseason. It's kind of the same thing with like Josh Dobbins when we had him. Is just never got Josh Dobbins because he got injured in preseason twice and was out the whole year.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Sam Howell is a Seattle Seahawk, and he led 2 scoring drives, throwing for 130 yards and a touchdown as the Seahawks beat Jim Harbaugh's Chargers 16-3. We didn't get to talk about this last week, but Jim Harbaugh actually got penalized by the NCAA for the cheating scandal at Michigan. So I think –
yeah, I heard about that.
Don't quote me on this, but I think the punishment is that he is not allowed to attend any NCAA contests this season, which – I mean, I guess the world is a little bit better off, but, you know –
yeah, I know you're not like big on him. I'm like,
I don't think he cares.
Cheating is bad. I don't think he cares either. That's the thing.
It's okay. The Ravens have the superior Harbaugh anyway. Anyway, moving on.
Facts. Yeah, there we go. That's already been proven.
The Saints came back to beat the Cardinals with a last-second fourth-quarter drive when Spencer Rattler came into the game, the rookie quarterback. If you didn't follow the story of Spencer Rattler, he was expected to be a Heisman Trophy winner at Oklahoma, but fell apart, transferred to South Carolina, and became a pretty decent mid-tier SEC quarterback for a couple of seasons, and has been taken by the Saints, and actually looked very impressive in his debut performance, considering the fact that the Saints are probably going to need a new quarterback because Derek Carr is shite. Opens the door for Spencer Rattler to potentially come in. Hey, he's got a cool name. That's all I'm going to say. It's unfortunate he has to play for that.
About all you can say. No, honestly, he's okay. He's not. Nothing about Spencer Rattler blows me away. But I over him is like a serious kind of like. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Finally, on Sunday, Broncos took on the Colts. The best game of Week 1 of the preseason. It was a high-scoring affair, with the Broncos winning 34-30 thanks to a 125-yard, one-touchdown day from rookie quarterback Bo Nix, who debuted for the Broncos. That's about the best thing I can say about this game because there were a lot of dumb mistakes by both teams, and good God, the Broncos' new uniforms are terrible. They look
so bad.
They
would, but they look really bad.
They're horrible. They're horrible, man.
Yeah.
Finally, the preseason Week 1 finale saw Stetson Bennett throw 4 interceptions for the Rams and then throw a last-second touchdown with 4 seconds to go to beat Dallas 13-12. This man's stat line was 224 yards, 1 touchdown, 4 interceptions. Would have been 5 had the Cowboys not been penalized for holding on that last minute drive. That's the most preseason football story ever. I threw 4 interceptions in a game and we still won 13-12. That's well, that's what happens when you have second-year quarterback Stetson Bennett, who's older than half the quarterbacks in the league. Noam, you are silent again.
It's about to be Penix.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
He's a fucking drafted at 24.
Yeah. Could be worse. All I have to say is Chris Winkie, Brandon Whedon. Chris Winkie was like in his 30s when he was drafted. Anyway, we left out one game because of the Raiders-Vikings game. So, J.J. McCarthy, drafted in the first round. There were concerns about him being drafted. Was kind of a system QB at Michigan. I've been saying it for a while that he really didn't do much at Michigan. He kind of just handed the ball off to their running backs, but he won a national championship. So, in today's day and age, he was immediately viewed as a high-touted prospect. Don't get me wrong, he can play, but there were better quarterbacks, I thought. J.J. McCarthy makes his debut for the Vikings, throws for 188 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Solid debut. Vikings come back from a 22-7 deficit to beat the Raiders 24-23 on a last-second field goal, something rare for the team. Then, unfortunately, just a few days later, J.J. McCarthy out for the season with a torn meniscus. Also, Jordan Addison was carted off the field during practice. Another Vikings player, one of the Vikings 2 cornerbacks, one tore his ACL, the other tragically passed away. The Minnesota Vikings have been struck by curses from every god in existence. They have been fucked by the establishment.
It's been pretty crazy.
They have had an off-season from hell.
That something does not want them to succeed at all.
No, it does not. Give
me 1 second. I'll let my dog in.
Well, while he lets his dog in, this allows me to segue into the main segment of our show today, and the one that, for all you Vikings fans out there, I'm sorry about this. The Vikings are the most cursed team in football. They have had so much bad fortune happen to them, it is comical. And we have decided here at Beer Batter Sports to rank the worst moments in the history of the Minnesota Vikings. You heard that right. We're going to go through some selected terrible, terrible moments of the Minnesota Vikings franchise and try and find out which one of them truly is the most painful. As Noam struggles to try and get his dog up, that's not going to work.
Okay, sorry, what?
Well, I was saying we are going to be ranking the most tragic moments in Minnesota Vikings history, trying to find out on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being – actually, no, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the least painful for Vikings fans, 10 being the most painful for Vikings fans. And Yes, we will be covering a lot of moments. So, with that being said, Gnome, I have a selection of Vikings moments here that you are not going to, that Vikings fans are going to hate. Here we are. Number one, losing 4 Super Bowls from 1969 to 1976 and never making it back to the big game since. Where are we putting that on the scale?
At 1. It has to be at 1, right? Like, that's got to be the worst thing ever.
Well, I said ranking it from a scale of 1 to 10.
Oh, 10.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And not only that, they weren't competitive in any of those Super Bowls. They got blown out in all of them.
They weren't
even close.
Yeah. There's just no getting around that fact.
It's truly tragic. The Herschel Walker trade. The Vikings famously traded a ton of draft picks to the Dallas Cowboys for running back Herschel Walker, believing he was the missing piece in the late 80s when they were a solid team capable of making deep runs in the playoffs. Those draft picks, Herschel Walker ended up becoming a massive bust in Minnesota and was traded almost immediately afterward back to the Cowboys. In the meantime, Dallas used those picks to select multiple multiple pieces of their Super Bowl teams, including Emmitt Smith. Where are we ranking that one?
Just a tragedy. It's difficult, right? Because I don't want it to be I don't think it's as bad as the Super Bowl thing, but that's got to be like a 9, right? Like, because you spent those. It's hard to know if you would have had a pick. It's easy to play script doctor and say, well, they had those players, so they would have picked those players. Those are what those picks turned into. But really, that's Dallas doing good, not Minnesota doing bad. We don't know who Minnesota would have taken. Maybe they would have taken them, maybe they wouldn't have. But it still hurts because those players were on the board and you gave them up. You give those picks up for nothing, literally nothing. Herschel Walker was nothing in Minnesota. I mean, he was a good player, but it didn't matter. You did nothing. It didn't matter. Like he didn't do anything. Didn't do anything that was noteworthy. I think I want to say that's an 8 or a 7. Like it killed them for years. Like I know it killed their fans for years. I was tempted to say like 9, but in reality, I don't think that's as much of like a L as people make it out to be. Just a little bit. It still is a massive L. It's just
really embarrassing. But in hindsight, we can say that in hindsight. At the time, we didn't know what the Vikings were going to use those draft picks on if they had kept them. To be fair to them, Herschel Walker was a damn good running back at the time, so there was a case for them that it could have worked out. It's really unfortunate that it didn't. I'm going to give it a 7 because it's something that you can make fun of Vikings fans for, but also we don't know if the Vikings would have taken those same players. That's another thing. Next up, this is going to be a solid 10 for me. The best Vikings team of all time goes 15-1 with the greatest offense in the history of the NFL, only to lose heartbreakingly to the Falcons in the NFC Championship game when their kicker, who has been perfect all season, shanks an extra point, causing the game to go to overtime where the Falcons get
an extra point.
Field goal. Field goal. Misses what could have been a game-sealing field goal. Game goes to overtime. Falcons win. The 1998 NFC Championship game is so disturbingly tragic that it gets referenced. It gets referenced in sitcoms sometimes. If you've watched How I Met Your Mother, there is a great scene where they're in a bar, I think in Minnesota, and someone asks, what's that shirt that says never forget 98? And one of the characters goes to this whole tirade about how they lost that game. That's how powerful this was. This is a 10 for me. That Vikings team is widely considered to be one of the greatest teams to never win the Super Bowl or to never make the Super Bowl. And we were robbed one of the greatest Super Bowls ever because they would have gone up against John Elway's Broncos, who were 14-2 and nearly had a perfect season that year.
It's a 10. There's no other way to put it. This has got to be the most singular painful moment in history, I think. This singular moment. The 4 Super Bowl thing is over a 7-year stretch.
Most Vikings fans from that era aren't alive anymore. That's the thing.
Even so, it doesn't change how awful it is. Like, oh my gosh. But no, like that's really bad. Like that's worse than the Ravens losing to the Chiefs and the way they did in the AFC Championship, which was my worst experience as a Ravens fan.
Yeah,
for a lot of reasons. But that was just such a tragic moment for the Vikings. Like this just there's no it was like it was almost meant to be, There was no reasons for the Falcons to have win that.
How about this one? In 2003, the Vikings got off to, I think, a 6-0 start, collapsed down the stretch, only won 3 more games, and in the final game of the season had a chance to clear the NFC North, only to lose it when the Falcons, not the Falcons, were the Cardinals, the worst team in the league that year, scored on the last second.
That was the one where Josh McCown threw to Anquan Bolden, right?
Josh McCown threw to Nathan Poole.
I'm sorry, not Anquan Bolden. I remember Anquan Bolden there because he tried to like murder the guy who caught the ball. He was so happy, he like tackled him to the floor.
Yeah, it was Nathan Poole, I think.
Yeah,
Nate
yeah,
Poole.
it
Nate
was.
Poole. Yeah, that the Cardinals team, by the way, had Emmitt Smith on it just to rub its salt in the wound.
I guess that makes it like from a
Vikings fans will say it's a 10, but I'd say it's a 6. Yeah,
I think it's a 6. Sorry, guys. It's just the scale's adjusted because y'all have had so many of these moments. So it's like it probably is a 10 in terms of pain for most teams, but for you guys, that's probably a 6. You guys got to be used to that at this point.
And if they had been in the playoffs, it would have been much bit worse. But they weren't. That's my thing. The Love Boat controversy. In 2005, Vikings players were arrested for participating in a giant sex party on a lake in Minnesota. This one's a 2. Not because
I've never even heard of this one.
You've never heard of the Love Boat. I can't go into extreme details about it because it's kind of gross. But a bunch of Vikings players, including Dante Culpepper, rented out a party boat for a lake and they flew in a bunch of like hookers from Atlanta and Miami and had a giant sex party. And the cops got called on them because a bunch of them, went to relieve themselves in some person's front yard when they got off the boat, and the cops got called, and it was a whole thing. And it was. I think it kind of blew over because I think the issue was like indecent. They were charged with indecency. Like it wasn't one of those situations where are those girls of age yet? They all were. That wasn't the issue. The issue was it was like public indecency, but it was like a big controversy up in Minnesota, and a lot of teams after they would score touchdowns against the Vikings that year, they would pretend they were rowing a boat.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking embarrassing. But unfortunately, it's the Vikings. I would also agree that's a 2, maybe. Yeah, I can't put it at a 3 because there's no actual like pain. It's just really fucking embarrassing.
It's like, guys, what are we doing? Listen, it's one of those things where it's like I'm not going to judge them for partaking because hey, people be into that shit sometimes. But at the same time, it's really funny that they got caught. It's really funny.
Nah, that's pretty embarrassing, I think.
Probably. How about this one? The Vikings in 2009, the Vikings make it to the NFC Championship game with a past his prime but still kicking Brett Favre, only to get murdered by the Saints. Bountygate.
Bountygate. Oh wait, are we murdered by Bountygate Saints?
This includes Brett Favre getting shanked by the Saints and also throwing that pick.
Dude, it's got to be like the story got to be how the pick, like how the game ended is crushing.
I give it an 8.
I think that's also an 8. That was pretty. They were really close. They were really close to the Super Bowl.
Because the Vikings have had teams since then that have gotten close to the Super Bowl, but have never had one that you looked at and be like, oh yeah, that team could win the Super Bowl. So
live by the Favre, die by the Favre. That's the term that was invented that day.
Oh yeah. The Metrodome roof collapses due to snow.
Four?
That's a 4. I mean, having to play games in Detroit, they did get a cool outdoor stadium, and I actually give it a 1 because while it's unfortunate the Metrodome roof collapsed, that stadium was kind of shitty to begin with.
Awful.
And they got to play outside again, which is where they should be playing because football is meant to be played in the cold. You bastard. There's a reason why Bud Grant wore short sleeve shirts of the coldest game in Vikings history. All right.
Yeah, because he was an insane lunatic. But yes.
Yeah, Bud Grant was insane. But the good guy would say that's like a 1 for me. Starting Joe Webb in a playoff game against the Packers. That's bad. That's like a 7. That's like a 7. Not only do you lose to your arch rival in the playoffs, but you have to start Joe Webb. Who, for anyone,
my brain's on 5.
You gonna go 5? Okay.
Well, state the case to the uninformed.
Joe Webb. Here's Joe Webb's career. Well, first of all I have to say is his name, and people immediately are like, "Who's Joe Webb?" Yeah, exactly. Joe Webb, his career statistics are 888 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. He played from 2010 to 2020. And he started a playoff game. That's my case. That's a solid 7, man. That is, and again, against the Packers, against your arch rival in the playoffs.
Here's why I think it's 5. The Pack. So it's not good at all, and it's pretty embarrassing. It's just this is the Vikings. It's just so much worse things. I feel like they've had a lot worse. I feel like the scale pushes that back down to a 5, but I think on most teams it would be a 7. But it just the Vikings have such an embarrassing record, you know. That's why I think it's a 5. I think the scale kind of pushes it down.
I've got 3 more for you. Actually, 4 more for you. First up, to a Hall of Fame running back, only for that guy to go and beat his kids.
Wait, so Adrian Peterson beating his kids is the thing?
Adrian Peterson.
There's a lot of things to say about it.
Adrian Peterson getting caught beating his kids and getting suspended for a season. This one kind of gets buried a lot because people tend to overlook it in cases of other incidents, like other domestic violence incidents.
This was huge when it dropped. I remember very.
I know
clearly.
it was. It gets overlooked nowadays because when we think of like purple teams in purple with running backs who got caught doing domestic violence, we kind of think of the other one from that time period. Ray Rice. Yeah,
I'm familiar with who you meant.
Yeah, which
in that people in the elevator, kind of like he was moving like Quavo, basically. But yeah.
See that?
What? Oh, I hope not.
Oh boy,
I'm not a Migos man. So if you pair it with the other year Adrian Peterson missed, which was his injury, I would say combined 7. It's pretty bad and it was brutal, but it's like the team. Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's an 8. Oh, I'm not 7. They've just been through so much.
I agree with you. It's the Vikings have had so much shit happen to them. It kind of just leads in with everything else. But also, you lost Adrian Peterson for 2 years during his prime. One because of something out of his control. The other because of something in his control.
I think the kid thing was a little bit after his prime, if I'm correct.
Might have been.
It was like 2014, 2015?
I think it was 2014 because I remember him playing 2015.
Yeah. I mean, he was still solid. He was still solid, and he would be at that level, but he was no longer an MVP form. But it's hard to say. At the time, remember, we were like, oh, he's lost a step. But then 10 years later, he's playing in 2020. So, you know.
How about this one? Excuse me. How about this one? 2015. Vikings make it to the playoffs. Blair Walsh shanks the field goal.
9, because it was such an easy fucking kick.
Yeah, that's the worst. That's the
worst.
Closer
than an extra point.
That's the worst miss in NFL history.
Easily, it is, and it's if it was it was divisional, I believe, right?
No, wild card round, and they were going against the defending.
Oh, wild card.
They had the Seahawks on the ropes.
Yeah, they did. And what would the Seahawks go to do?
What?
What did the Seahawks go and do that year?
Lose to the Panthers the next round. So.
Who then proceeded to go? Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I don't think the Vikings would have given them much of a fight.
Oh no, probably not. But probably not. That Vikings team was probably getting annihilated by Carolina in the next round anyway. But it doesn't matter because that field goal should not have been missed.
It's a playoff game, and they missed a ridiculously easy field goal. That dude, like compared to Super Bowls and 11 and the 15 and 1, like the 98 Vikings, and what was the other moment of 10 that we said? The
09. Favre.
Yeah, right. Compared to that, it's not as bad. But due to what brings it up is just how easy the kick was. It's so fun close. Yeah, I got to put that as a 9 regardless. Really bad.
My last 2 moments are drafting a franchise quarterback in Teddy Bridgewater only to have his knee explode.
Teddy Bridgewater injury was really bad. 7, I think 7 or 6.5. I think. Like the reality is, I don't
Have
know
you
what to
seen the
call.
pictures of his knee?
I have. I'm not saying it wasn't a bad injury. I'm just saying what did this mean for the Vikings as a franchise? Brutal, obviously, but they had a lot of other problems as a team they needed to address. I don't know how competitive they would have been with Teddy. It's just really for Teddy. It's a 100 out of 10. It was brutal for him, absolutely brutal, and the way he had to come back and everything.
God,
honestly inspirational because he went on to be a solid backup and potential starter. Honestly, he never really got the chance, I don't think. But I don't know. What do you think? I think I'm on 7 or 6.
in terms of just how
7.
bad it was, I mean, dude, the thing dislocated so badly it nearly tore the knee in half.
It's a 10, yeah, obviously, for that, but for the team, for a Vikings fan, if you're ranking moments in their history, Teddy Bridgewater injury.
I'm giving it a 7 because I don't know, because Bridgewater might be the best quarterback they've had in a hot minute.
Now I got to look through the Vikings quarterback.
Well, I can give you this because the next one I was going to say is having to deal with Kirk Cousins for years.
Kirk didn't suck on the Vikings though. I don't. I think Kirk is the most common thing that separates controversial. The opinions on him are so varied. It's like House of the Dragon season 2 on the internet. It's like it's like people who know the thing people who know football and like football seem to like Kirk Cousins, but casual fans and the media in general really does not like him and considers him a trash quarterback clown. I've never felt. I think Kirk's somewhere in the middle. I think he's a good quarterback that's actually played really well. But okay, if you talk about the contract and what they got out of the contract, now we're moving that up the scale, aren't we?
Yeah,
we're moving that up the scale. They really did nothing. Oof.
I give it a 5 just because the issue was he was supposed to be their guy of the future. He was supposed to be the guy that finally got them over the hump, and they just lost a ton of playoff games and couldn't win in primetime. And they had so much. They struggled so much.
Okay, yeah. With that in mind, I'm gonna increase my rating because I think you're right. At the end of the day, they paid this man so much money, and what do they have to show for it? Is what you just said: primetime losses and playoff losses, and not getting far. First and second round exits, nothing. Right.
Yeah.
So that pushes it up. But to me, I'm still going to say this is a 4 because they really failed to put a spectacular team around him. And Kirk played well. He played well overall for them. He did play well. There was some moments where he was garbage and he was Daniel Jones. But there's other moments where he's closer to Tom Brady than Daniel Jones. He did play well for them for a lot of time.
He's not a bad quarterback. It's just he can't play in primetime, and he didn't deliver.
What do you have to show for the contract, that amount of money? Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'd still say it's about a 4. I mean, I feel like they've made worse choices.
Yeah, that's definitely true. With that being said, let's wrap up today's episode by making our picks for week 2 of NFL preseason. We're going to start things off tonight's game. The Eagles taking on the Patriots. It's pretty simple. The Eagles win in my book.
I'm going to take the Eagles as well. I can't imagine the Patriots winning a game right now.
No, not even in preseason. All right, Saturday, our game, Falcons versus Ravens.
Ravens, it's time to bring the streak back. It's time to show that we have really solid depth and that we totally did not lose all our depth last year. I don't know what people mean. That's crazy.
Oh, boy.
It's time to prove that in a preseason game.
I'll take the Ravens, too. Cincinnati takes on Chicago. I'm actually going to rock with the Bears so far. The Bears have been quietly one of the best teams this preseason, and I'm impressed with Caleb Williams so far. So give me Chicago.
If Caleb is going to play, from what I hear, and he's going to play not getting schemed against, I think he's a good quarterback. I am also going to take Chicago. I don't think the Bengals are stupid enough to play Burrow, and I think that's how they would win if they did. So,
well, they did play him last week, but they had to.
I know, but yeah, I don't think they're going to play him for long.
Giants versus Texans. I'm low-key actually going to go with the Giants on this one because New York has some surprising depth, especially on offense. Not quarterback. Quarterback, no, not quarterback at all. I mean, it's Daniel Jones, Drew Lock, and Tommy DeVito. No, but
That's one of the QB rooms of all time.
Definitely.
Truly.
I don't think the Giants. They did a good job against Detroit's backups. I think they can handle Houston's backups.
I'm going to say Houston.
All right. Speaking of Detroit, Lions taking on the Chiefs. This would be a damn good game to open up the season with. I mean, they did it last year. This is probably the most interesting game of the second week of preseason for me. I'm going to take Kansas City to bounce back here. Hopefully Xavier Worthy can get some time and they can start working him in more, especially now that Hollywood Brown's out. So give me Kansas City.
I'm going to take the Lions. I think the Lions are just Kansas City has much better starters. Andy Reid's not stupid enough to play them. Like, the Lions depth I trust more right now. It's a young, hungry team. Yeah, give me Lions.
Minnesota's taking on Cleveland. Browns. Minnesota has Sam Darnold as their quarterback now. Although I would like to say this for Minnesota. If they're looking for a quarterback, from what I've heard, the Falcons have an older guy on their roster. And with Michael Penix Jr. doing quite well in his first preseason game, there is, there's always an opportunity. If the Falcons wanted to, they could trade this older guy to the Vikings to give them an opportunity. His name's Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about, but I don't think that they want to get his contract.
No, they don't. Give me Cleveland.
Vikings. Why not?
God.
Why not?
Seattle at Tennessee. I have nothing to say on this game. But, if Will Levis is playing, go Titans.
I'm going to take the Titans to win, but I hope they lose on account of not liking the Titans. But I do think they're going to win.
Arizona at Indianapolis. That's a middle.
Arizona. I think the Colts are a better team, but I'm going to take Arizona.
I like the Colts. Washington at Miami.
Miami, I think. I mean, who knows? It's preseason. It's just none of our predictions really matter because it's not like they're playing anything that would lead us to think that. Like, the team that's better does not matter, but the Dolphins, I can't root for.
For example, I am contractually obligated to say that the Commanders will win this game, or else I will I'll get spanked. I'll get beat up. Buffalo at Pittsburgh.
Probably the Bills. I think the Steelers are probably going to throw about 1 million picks.
Well, Kenny Pickett's not on the Steelers anymore, so that they might be safe from that. But I'm going to take Buffalo.
We'll see. Still got some dime throwers.
Yeah. Jets at Panthers. Why is this even a question? The Jets.
Okay, hear me out. No, I'm just fine.
Don't you dare.
I have no reason to.
Don't you dare.
Yeah.
Battle of LA. Rams and Chargers.
Chargers. It's preseason. They're going to play their starters and they're going to get injured, but they're going to win the game. They're going to be like, Chargers. At least we got the dub.
This might be the only preseason game that matters. Go Chargers. Speaking of interstate rivalries, Tampa Bay and Jacksonville, little Florida battle. Go Bucks. That's all I'm going to say. Go Bucks.
Yeah, Bucks. Bucks had a phenomenal draft, honestly. I'm still kind of seeing them in action. I look forward to seeing more of their rookies. I think they had one of the best drafts, to be frank. They're drafted super well this year. Been blown away by it. I'm going to take the Bucks.
Yeah, I'm hungry. I'm about to go.
Got to give their young players more playing time. Give the rookies more playing time, man.
I know. Kyle Trask played really well Saturday. All right.
Yeah, but he is trash.
Saturday Night Football, Dallas at Las Vegas. From what I saw, Gardner Minshew actually was pretty good for the Raiders. So go Las Vegas.
No, they're not going to play him. They just signed Nathan Peterman. He's putting him in. He's going to dominate Raiders by 40.
Oh my gosh! All right, Sunday's games: Green Bay at Denver. As long as the Broncos have those fugly uniforms, I'm going Packers.
Same.
Yeah.
Can't and
then the first game on Fox this year, I think this is going to be Tom Brady's debut as an announcer. It's the Saints and the 49ers. You know my opinion on that team from the Bayou and Niners. Go Niners. Go Niners. Please go Niners.
I'm gonna go with the Saints.
I'm kicking you off the podcast for that.
To be fair,
we don't get to hear his explanation. He chose the Saints. What, you think I was going to give that to him? Have you learned your lesson?
You didn't let me finish. I said that I don't think they're going to win it. I don't think they.
All right, explain yourself.
I said I don't think they'd win an actual game against them. I think the 49ers would kill them.
Oh,
but it's preseason. I just don't think the 49ers are going to care. That's all I was going to say.
Well, they should.
Before I kept getting cut off.
In my defense, I hate the Saints. And
You really do. You really, really do.
You know, I remember one time at my old job, some guys came in and one of them had a Saints jersey and I had my Bucks jersey on. We looked at each other. And I told him, I jokingly, I said it in a joking way, but I meant it. I said, "Get the hell out of my store." And he was like, "Oh, you hate us, huh?" It's like, "Get out of my store. Did you not hear me, man? We don't allow that trash around here."
Fair enough, bro.
Yeah. Anyway, with that being said, we're going to wrap up today's episode, guys. As always, Beer Battered Sports is a proud affiliate of the Fired Up Sports Network. Go check out all their other pods, including our friends over at the at Bell Smashers. Shout out to Kylie. You can follow us on all of our socials at BB Sports Pod. Make sure you are following us on Twitter this weekend as me and Gnome attend the preseason game between the Falcons and the Ravens. It's going to be awesome. I will be ranking the Ravens stadium food and seeing if it holds up. Look, the Camden Yards hot dog is damn good. Let's see if it's just as good over at the Big Crab Cake.
I ain't gonna lie. I don't think much about M&T will impress me. It's a little nice, but it's not nothing blow you away. It's not no SoFi. It's not SoFi.
Hey man, I kind of like older stadiums. They have a nice charm to them.
You'll like it. You'll like M&T.
Anyway, with that being said, also check out our Twitter bio for merch. We will be getting new Raven-specific merch coming out soon as Calvin gets the specifics figured out. But in the meantime, thank you guys so much for watching today's episode. We will see you next week. We are going to try and get an iron time down for when we have these podcasts, but it looks like Thursday night might be the go-to night as long as everyone's available. But that being said, we will see you guys next week as always, peace.
Peace.